G'day guys, and welcome to another build guide. Today I'm going to be showing off the Fireball Infernalist Archdemon. This is a Recoup focused fireball slinging witch, and we are going to be breaking the build up into sections. All sections will be listed in timestamps in the description field, but before we do get started, a big thank you to everyone for liking and subscribing. We have reached over 2,000 subscribers, which is incredible. Massive thank you. Let's get started with the Recoup, how it works, and what items we use to make it efficient. Firstly, what is Recoup? Recoup is a ability that when you take damage from a hit, you recoup the damage taken in a percentage over 8 seconds. This recoup can stack, which means we can have as many recoups going as much damage as we take. This can be further increased with our passive tree as well as some items. Our main item is the Sacrosanctum, which allows us to recoup energy shield as well as life. Damage taken recouped as life is also recouped as energy shield. It's kind of important that you get a 32 spirit roll on these. All the other rolls don't matter too much. Obviously try and get a high damage taken recoup as life roll is kind of what we do. We are also using the Blood of the Warrior unique. 30% of damage taken during effect recouped as life. And 90% life recovered. Basically, we pop this bad boy when we are surrounded, and 30% of the incoming damage will come back to us as energy shield and life. We also have the Forsaken Bangle Amethyst Charm. This is 50% of chaos damage you prevent when hit recouped as life and mana during effect. Those are the three main recoup items that we have. Moving over to the passive tree. Now, all these items I'm listing now are mandatory. You need to get these to make this work. Right here, we have the Heroic Tragedy Timeless Duel. You need one that says Songworthy Deeds by the line of Allroth. Allroth. That is the key name there. This turns the keystone into Knightly Tenants. Gain no inherent bonus from intelligence, and a 1% increased evasion per 2 intelligence, which we don't really notice. We're using energy shield. That's just null and void. The most important part is gain no inherent bonuses from intelligence. This is good because we are proccing damage and proccing the recoup by using Pyromantic Pack, which maximum mana is replaced by twice as much maximum Infernal Flame, replacing our mana completely with Infernal Flame, and take maximum life and energy as fire damage when Infernal Flame reaches maximum. That is how we stack our recoup effect. Now, that is the main uniques for the recoup effect. Now I'm going to show you how it works when we are in the field. I have my main ability to stack our recoup is Snap. When I start a map, I will cast it. As you can see, our energy shield is going down, but as we get more and more stacks, we get higher regen. Going over to the screen over here, you can see 2,000, 1,000, and then we stack it back up all the way up to, well, incredibly high levels. This scales very much on how much mana you can spend in a short amount of time. Now, going over the mana section, I know this is a bit of a long drawn explanation, but it is the most important part of the build, and how a lot of people are maintaining tankiness as an Infernalist. Let's see. Mana. We do not want mana on anything. Absolutely nothing. Not on the passive tree, not on our items. We want minimum amount of mana because the Infernal Flame is 2 times our maximum mana. And we need to be able to proc the maximum Infernal Flame as much as possible to get our tank up and running. I think that's about it for the Recoup effect. If having a look over here on the passive tree, you can see I've gone ahead and taken pretty much all of the Recoup nodes on the map. I will go over the passive tree next, and I will go over why we take certain nodes and the importance of them. Continue on. Let's start with the tree first. Straight away, we just go straight up, grab the increased energy shield. Now, just to note, this is a endgame build. This is assuming you are at least level 80, preferably 90 before switching over to this build. So this is not a leveling build. Continuing on, we make sure we grab the increased energy shield as well as reduced maximum mana. As we said before, the internal flame scales off our maximum mana. And decreasing that makes us be able to hit that cap a lot faster. Of course, we grab all the Recoup nodes as we go. We want to grab Soul Bloom. This is very important because 20% increased energy shield recovery rate applies to how fast that energy shield is going to be recouped. Very important to maintaining our tank. Over here, we grab even more energy shield nodes, increasing our tank further. Here we have From Nothing Diamond. This is pacifism radius of elemental equilibrium can be allocated. This item here is incredibly cheap, and it does allow us to get our Archon online. We have Enduring Archon, Resurging Archon, we have Shredding Force, and Warding Fetish. Warding Fetish is essentially just a tank ability, 60% increased energy shield, which is great. This is our crits, increases our crit chance for spells, critical spell damage bonus, which is great. And of course, we have the two Archon abilities. Archon recovery period expires 25% faster, and Archon, Enduring Archon, 30% increased Archon buff duration. As you level up, you can get infused limits and infusing power. I'm level 90, I'm not there yet, but feel free to grab those as well. Going back to where we were before, we are hanging a right. We go ahead and we grab the Patent Barrier. Of course, increased maximum energy shield. Slow start of energy shield recharge does not matter to us in the slightest because we are recouping energy shield rather than having it recharge. Make sure you are splitting your attributes between intellect and strength and the minimum amount of dexterity for our gear. We'll go over gear soon. We've already covered the heroic tragedy. Moving down here, we go ahead and we grab Storm Driven. This here will allow us to recoup our energy shield a hell of a lot faster than we would otherwise, and is very vital to our recoup sustain. Over here, same thing, increased speed of recoup effect. Down here, we use trigger abilities, so we want to make sure that we have increased energy rate, and when we trigger a skill, we get 40% increased damage. Good stuff. Now over here, we just grab the Careful Assassin. This increases our crit chance. We are scaling our damage with crits, and we are using Cast on Crit for our Fireball spread, which we'll cover very soon. Moving back over to the left side of the tree, we want to grab Eldritch Will. This is primarily for the stun threshold. There are two great stun threshold nodes near the start of the tree. We have the, I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce that. We have this one here, which is absolutely amazing. Stun threshold based on 30% of your energy shield instead of life. However, I have opted to just go for these ones as they are easier to get. Not as strong, but it is enough stun to get us, stun resistant to get us by. Of course, we grab all the recoup nodes here and the energy shield here. Moving down, this one right here over Zealous. This increases the mana cost of spells, or skills rather. That means we are allowed to get even more Infernal Flame cost, and as I mentioned before, we need to hit that full to proc a recoup stack. Over here we have Storm Charged. which is 40% crit elemental damage. If you've dealt a crit recently, we will be critting quite often. And of course, it increases crit chance. And we have some penetration here. We have to go this side for the pen rather than this side for the cast speed. Moving down here, we go ahead and grab Molten Carapace. This increases our fire resistance while we are ignited. We're going to be ignited pretty much all the time because of our self-damaging with fire damage, as well as our Ascendency passives, which we'll cover very soon. Increased armor, completely useless basically for us. I mean, it's nice to have, I guess. But we also have 50% increase of fire damage while ignited. Lovely stuff. Moving down here, I opted to go for just a generic jewel here, which is 10% increased spell damage, 19 increased maximum energy shield, 20 increased critical damage bonus, and 3% of damage taken recouped as life. I am missing something. Where is it? Bear with me. Brain fart time. Okay. Let's continue on. We went ahead and grabbed the heart tissue, of course, increasing our recoup. You can go ahead and grab this node here as well as this node here. That will increase our total recoup to 100% of damage incoming. I am level 90. As you level up, feel free to grab those. We are moving on to desensitization. Basically increases our crit damage. The bulk of our damage is coming from desensitization, so make sure you grab that. Okay. I am missing something. Where is that? It's in my mind here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here. There it is. Here it is. I found it. Right. Covering this one. This is Megalomaniac. This bad boy allocates unnatural resilience. Unnatural resistance is a +3 to all elemental resistances, which is meh, who cares? But +2% to maximum fire resistance if you have at least 5 red support gems socketed, which is amazing, and 100% get it, because that allows us to get our fire resistance up to 80% while we are ignited. And that's, yeah, kind of insane. When paired with this bad boy over here. I did manage to get one with another roll of Fulmination. Now the second roll is entirely up to you. Just get what kind of fits. This one just increases flammability magnitude and increases damage with hits against ignited enemies, which is nice to have. Very nice to have. Alright, moving over to our tree. We are, of course, going to grab Pyromantic Pact. This just allows us to get our recoup stacks up. Over here, we are going a Grinning Immolation. This makes sure we are always ignited, as well as this, of course, and it increases our critical damage bonus. Now, total, with items and passives, we are at 405% increased critical damage bonus, which is pretty insane and allows us to clear very, very quickly. Over here, we get the first form of Demon Form. I opt to not go to Master of Darkness because I wanted the increased critical damage. Now, this is entirely optional, but be mindful that when you go Master of Darkness, your survivability will definitely be in question. Because if you do not have the enough recoup stacks, as you can see, our energy shield drops very, very low. And if you are in between recoup stacks and you get hit with the already high flame degen going, you're just going to die, or you're going to kill yourself, basically, with the damage and the ignite that you do to yourself. That is why I opt to not go with the initial. I have tested it. It is absolutely insane. Yes, it clears incredibly quickly, a lot faster than our current setup, but you will die often. Moving over here, we have Altered Flesh, which has 20% of cold damage and lightning damage taken as fire damage, and 20% of physical damage taken as chaos damage. Now, physical damage is also... no, never mind. I'm thinking of something different. That is our Ascendency setup. Let's have a look at our gear real quickly, because this is relatively important. We want to grab a dueling wand with +5 level of all fire skills. Try and get one with a gain percentage of damage as cold or lightning. Because we are going to be proccing Archon, that'll just turn that into additional fire damage for us. Also get the increased critical spell damage bonus, because that is what we're scaling essentially. Over here we have, just try and get as much energy shield as possible, and try and fill out those resistances. The headpiece isn't as important as everything else. Over here we want to have infused flesh. How you get these is entirely up to you. When I'm talking about these, I'm talking about the Megalomaniac. We need unnatural resilience. You can anoint that and get a Megalomaniac with infused flesh. It doesn't matter how you acquire these 2 additional nodes. It's just important that you acquire them. Onto rings. Once again, we are just trying to get our resistances as well as some rare find up and running. You can opt for some life regeneration, which will help you maintain your demon form a little bit more, but honestly it's not really that necessary. It just decreases the time before you die if you're not recouping essentially. Onto boots. This is again just get as much energy shield as possible. I could not find an energy shield base that fitted what I was after, so I have gone with the armor energy shield, but try to get the energy shield base if you can. Of course, resistances, rarity, good stuff. These are all pretty basic stuff for the helmet, boots, rings and such. Over here on the belt, we can actually get a recoup roll. So try and get a belt that has the fire damage taken recouped as life, because obviously we are we're dealing fire damage to ourselves. For the focus, the most important part of the focus, or second most important part of the focus, is the increased critical hit chance for spells. Our fireballs don't inherently have a high crit chance, so we need to get as much crit chance as possible without breaking the build too much. Of course, having increased fire damage, spell damage, and the first most important, which is the +3 level of all spells, is good to have. Very important that we get the plus level to spells. If you can get one on the necklace, go ahead and do that, because the higher level the spell is, the more it costs. Over on the charms, of course I've already covered the Amethyst charm. I am also going with the Staunching charm, the Sanguis, the charm, the blood charm, because we get consecrated ground on use, as well as, I mean, it's just handy. We don't want to be having any other forms of degen going on while we are degenning ourselves. And frozen. If we are frozen, we cannot cast spells. We cannot cast spells. We are dead. Our tank relies on us damaging ourselves. Don't care about the mana flask. We don't use mana. Doesn't matter. Over on the second slot, you want pretty much any chiming staff. It doesn't matter what chiming staff you have at all. Doesn't matter. I just got one with a +5 to fire spells. Don't utilize it. Only time I'm using it is when I am bossing and we just throw it down. Or Ritual. Ritual is also a good time for that. Editing Shin here. I thought I'd add some little bit of information on possible future upgrades and fine-tuning. This gear I have here is far from optimal. You can get gear with enough life regeneration to allow you to be in demon form permanently and not have to worry about any of the degen. Because it is only the first step of demon form, it is very much possible to get enough regeneration on gear to completely counteract that quite easily. There is also two unique items that I would suggest aiming for. Firstly, we have the Headhunter. I'll pop that up on screen now. And next, we have the Wrathith Globe. This bad boy allows us to increase the critical strike chance and the spell damage by a very large amount. Now, obviously, this will only affect the fireballs because it is non-challenge spells, but I think the damage output, it was more than worth it to get this. There is also a unique jewel I would suggest adding for our fireballs. Let me go ahead and bring that up and show you right here. This is very expensive, but is again a chase item that will allow us to get absolutely bonkers. It is Rakieta's Flow. Hits with spotted spells, treat enemy monsters elemental resistant value as inverted. Absolutely insane. That will completely ignore anything and any elemental resistances and increase the output damage of our fireballs. So there is a lot of options to go with the gear, so feel free to reach for those next levels. Future Shin here. I realized I did not cover the gloves, the main source of our damage for our fireballs. Oh, here we are. Your critical damage bonus is 250%. That's added on top of the bonuses we get from our passive tree is a whopping 405% increased critical damage bonus every time one of our fireballs or firebolts crit. That is not including the critical damage bonus we can get from other pieces. So feel free to scale that as well. That is how we made fireballs work. Okay, now the most important part, the skills. We obviously have Demon Form. I chuck a cooldown recovery and a second wind. Ignore that. That's not meant to be there. Cooldown recovery, second wind, allows me to get it up twice. Spell Slinger. Words are hard today. We have Fireball, Boundless Energy, Arbiter's Ignition, and Wild Shard. Now, Arbiter's Ignition is how we are getting to Flame Archon. Now, we proc Flame Archon very, very often and very, very common. So it's not hard to get. And that saves us 5 passive skill points just by having that in there. Spellslinger is our way to get Archon. We have next, I'm going to cover it as Fireball. We want Pinpoint Critical. We want Unleash, Wild Shards 2, Fire Mastery, and Fork. This will allow us to get as many fireballs out as possible and increase our crit chance up to a decent amount, which is still only 33%. However, you need to take into account the fact that there is going to be so many fireballs being flung out at the same time, which is absolutely insane. Now, you may have noticed that I also have Fireball and Spellslinger set to my left and left and right mouse button. That is because I also use my thumb for my snap. So while we are flying around, I can literally hold down my left and right mouse button, and that's it. Just hold them down. Every time there's enough energy for our Spellslinger, it will cast, and then I can just also pop down a runic circle or quickly pop down another sigil. It's pretty straightforward. While we are holding down a left and right mouse button, every now and then I'll cast a snap on something that is ignited, and that will allow us to get the infused fireballs, which are absolutely insane. Those infused fireballs explode into firebolts, making even more stuff fly around. Going back to Sigil of Power, we just chuck on prolonged duration, magnified area, cooldown recovery, and rapid casting. This is just a very flat, generic sigil setup. Nothing crazy there. Moving down, this is our boss damager. Every 15 seconds, we throw down the Flame Blast, which allows us to deal decent damage to the enemies. We have Inevitable Critical. This, of course, will increase the chance of that Flame Blast being a critical. We have Pinpoint Critical on top of that. We have Considered Casting, which is less cast speed, but deal 35% more damage. And we have Momentum, which is 40% more damage as long as we move forward 2 meters, which is pretty easy to do. As you can see, the little burst of green lets us know when we hit that momentum point. And I have Searing Flame, which is 30% less damage with hits, but 100% more magnitude of Ignite inflicted. This one I'm not too sure about. I've just got it there to get big Ignites on bosses. You can swap it out for something else if that suits you better. Elemental Weakness. We have Heightened Curse to increase the magnitude. We have Cursed Ground, which basically just creates a area of curse. I usually set it up like this. We can literally fly through and pop it constantly as we are holding down our fireballs. Because mana is not an issue, obviously, because we are using the Infernal Flames. We can just cast it constantly, keep the area in front of us permanently debuffed. We have Focus Curse, which is less delay, of course. We have Increased Area Effect, and we have Rapid Casting, increased cast speed. Over on our cast and critical setup, we have yet another Fireball with Pinpoint Critical, Fire Mastery, Scion's Temper, which grants gain a wild charge on casting supported skill. Basically, that charges up and will cast a wild shard when it reaches the 4-stack. And we have, of course, Boundless Energy. Because this is a cast on critical, we need to get more energy. More energy means more casts. More casts mean more fireballs. We have a fairly generic Raging Spirit setup, but this is also how we spread our Ignite, and it allows us to use our Snap to generate our infused fireballs. We have those linked to Infernal Legion to ignite enemies within a radius. Fire Exposure to apply fire exposure to enemies that they are near. Searing Flame to increase the magnitude of the Ignite. Ignite 3 to increase the more flammability. And we have Minion Instability, which means the Raging Spirits will just pop when they get to the end there. Now, Snap is our main way to get our Recoup stacks up. I certainly wish we could see a Recoup stat in our little buff bar, but unfortunately the only way you can see the stacks is through the character menu. But you can cast Snap without even having a target. You can just hold down the button and it will just generate for you. Very quick way to get your Recoup stacks up at the start of a match or when you're preparing for a boss fight or something like that. Those Recoup charges last 8 seconds and will get the full amount of Recoup that you have, which we have 94 at the moment. It can go up to 100% with the additional nodes. I have that link to Harmonic Remnants. 20% chance for a supported skill to create additional remnant. This is actually crazy and allows us to get our remnants quite quickly and will allow us to shoot our fireballs off quite regularly. We have Magnified Area 1. Supported skills have an increased area of effect. Cooldown recovery because this thing has a cooldown. And we have Fire Mastery just to increase the level of it, and Ignite. So when it does hit other things, it can proc Ignite and spread Ignite to other enemies. I think I have covered everything. Let me just think. We have covered the gear. Check. Gear covered. We have covered the passive skill tree. Check. Covered. We have covered how Recoup works and the absolutely required uniques that we need to get it up and running. Check. Covered. What else? I think that's it. Let me just do a quick showcase of how I would go about moving through a map. There will also be a further gameplay showcase after this. So if you want to stick around and check that out, please do so. Once again, use the timestamps to go back and forth at your heart's content. And link to the build guide will be in the description field, as well as the top pinned comment. Let's show. Alright. We start off, as we enter a map, we start off in Demon Form. We build up our charges until we're at least half energy shield when we take damage. I move through. I pop down these as we go, and then I just start casting. Just start spamming. Every now and then I will hit a snap on an enemy that is ignited. That'll cause an explosion, and then I'll pick up the infusion charges and create even more fireballs. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye bye.